I'm here with a new video, and here we are in the lovely little hamlet of Seosan in the province of Chungcheongnam-do. There's a really cool beer brewery down here called Chillhops, and man, they're doing some really interesting stuff. So my buddy Julian, who you've met from other videos, we traveled down here, and we met the head brewmaster, and we got a little tour of the brewery, we drank some of their beers. They make a lot of different beers, and they're making a lot of really forward-thinking, innovative beers too. So let's sit down with Nick, let's ask him some questions, and let's drink some beers. Gombe. All right, so I have my first beer here. This is called a double-fruited Berliner. So it's kind of like a Berliner Weiss, which is a beer that was made in Berlin, clearly. But they would put fruit syrups in it to lower the alcohol content. And I don't mean brewing with the syrups, but after, to make it a really nice different color. So this is a double-fruited German-style beer. Wow. There's a super little bit of sourness to it. It's not really a sour beer per se. But the fruits come here. Oh, it's like a plum. Yeah. Check out the color. Yeah, that's really nice. I'm impressed. Really easy to drink. There's just enough fruit in it where, yeah, you could drink this a lot. Yeah, I could easily have, over the night, 3 or 4 of these things. Really nice. Really bright citrusy notes. A lot of fruit in the middle there, and there's just a little bit of sour on the bottom. It's really good. We're here with Nick Lennan, the head brewmaster here at Chillhops. So can you tell me a bit of your history with beer, your education with beer?
So back in Australia, where I was living in the army at the time, probably, 8 years ago, got into brewing with a lot of friends. We were part of I guess like a small organization, kind of like a brewer's guild. Do you know what that means?
Not quite.
We have other breweries, or we can home brew, but we collectively meet together as a group every month, just to go over the beers that we've been brewing at home, the beers we've been brewing at breweries.
So this is like home brewers and professionals kind of meeting together.
Yeah, it's like a feedback kind of forum group. It's being part of a school without being part of a school.
Okay.
Very, very casual. So that's when I first got fully into brewing, which was probably 10 years ago.
Okay.
Over 10 years ago. And then just a lot of homebrew. I was looking at getting a few professional jobs back home, but getting into the brewing crowd back home at my age and qualifications, you're kind of like a lackey. Wife being Korean, I had visited Korea because we've been together for over 10 years. Visited since 2009 when I lived here for a year actually. And I noticed that the beer scene was just very, very new and lacking.
Especially back then, yeah.
Yeah, and so we started up. 2016 we actually really started to brew here, but we didn't distribute for at least a year because we wanted to, with my lack of commercial experience, I wanted to understand the beers before we give them to anyone.
Right.
End of 2017 we did our first festival at the booth, and our beers sold out just almost straight away, first 2 days, so yeah.
And beer number 2 is a red IPA. So basically he changes the malts a bit. 안녕하세요. So he changes the malts a bit, which obviously changes the color. IPAs are nice, kind of auburny brown, golden color. This one's a lot more red, hence the red IPA. So yeah, this mutes a lot of those really wild, bitter, hoppy flavors of an IPA and puts a nice, like, dare I say dalgona, but like a nice roasted sugar, brown sugar, kind of caramelly kind of middle through it. And it's still a bit bitter, and it's nice. It's more like a pale ale, a little muted. And it's because those malts that they use really bring that kind of roasted, sugary flavor to that. This is something, again, like the other one I had, that you could drink a bunch of these because you're not going to get tired of the hops. It's not overly malted. It's not sweet like a porter would be. This is great. This is great. And I was talking to Nick inside. He said this is his favorite style of beer. And then he had the concession that, not mine specifically, but this style of beer. Yeah. Come on, Nick, big up your beer. You're the best. This is very popular in Australia, apparently. I've never really had them in Canada. I don't really see them in Korea. So this is more of an Australian style here in Korea with the red IPA. What influence would you say Australia has on your brewing techniques here in Korea?
The thing most from Australia that gives me influence is both Australia and New Zealand is the fact that we do have a traditional beers, but it's not like Europe or we weren't the first to create craft beer categories like America.
Right.
So we're not set on beer styles. That's probably the biggest influence. Also, we sourced ingredients from back home. So yeah, hops and malts are from Australia and New Zealand.
Okay. Like exclusively, or what percent would you say?
So our flagships, 95%, I'd say 97% Australian malts. So Jacinda is our flagship. That really pushed us, same as Turbo, which is our double IPA. Unfortunately, it keeps selling out and we're not brewing fast enough. Other than that, it's got all Australian, New Zealand hops.
Okay. So these are our last beers for today. These are the Oat Cream X2 and the Oat Cream X3. Now, Julian had a sampler earlier, and I had this one. It's very nice. So,
very smooth. I don't know, what is oat cream? Do you know? Do you have any idea what that ingredient is?
Oat would mean that they have a specific malt that they put in when they brew, which would be oats, obviously. Creamy just we've had a few beers. Creamy refers to the mouthfeel that you're going to get in the beer. And it should coat the tongue and last a while like a creamy dessert would, right?
Like a creamsicle.
Oh, yeah. I said this earlier when I had his little sampler one. It's almost like they made like an old-fashioned soda shop where like the guy would have his carbonation thing and he'd make the soda himself, right? In the soda shop. Now, I've never done that because I wasn't born in the fucking 1940s. But it does, the image in my head and how I can compare the taste of it. How do they do? Like as...
They taste pretty similar. I mean, color is also similar, but I would say this one of them is a little bit more bitter.
This one's way more bitter and earthy. Yeah,
and this one's not even a little sweeter.
This one actually reminds me of a cream soda,
and almost
to a degree.
Syrupy, like the mouth feels like there's like a syrup inside.
This one is much drier and more bitter. Yeah. I don't mind this, and I like it, but I prefer that one just because it's so... This is very drinkable.
Yeah.
Not to have a bunch of them in a row, but as far as one goes and just drinking one, this is downable all day.
I agree, and I'm not even the biggest fan of sweet, syrupy drinks, but as far as the oat cream goes, I would prefer
oat cream number 2.
Less dry, less bitter for that flavor.
This does remind me of like a nice cream soda, yeah. And that's why it reminds me of an old soda shop, even though I've never been to one.
You've never been to a soda shop?
I'm Canadian. Are there soda shops in America still? Where you can go, it's like the pharmacy, and the guy's like, hey, come in.
In the places that haven't been touched by corporate America, yes, actually.
Idaho.
Northern Minnesota.
How did you end up in Seosan? What's the story there? Because this is a bit out of the way relative to the country, yeah.
So, I mean, when we came here, we came with the want to open a brewery, and we didn't have a lot of money. So we kind of looked outside the square and just looked for a small little haven that we could get away with not spending a lot of money on rent and living costs, and also we wanted a certain amount of period of time to really establish our beers rather than just jumping into the market, because we couldn't employ people to work for us. We didn't have that sort of capital. So,
Julian, in short, what do you think about this brewery? Impressed? What do you think?
It's small. That's, I guess, what I have to say first.
Yeah, if you're gonna drink here at the brewery in Seosan, there's like literally like 14 or 15 chairs.
Yeah, the table is
no, plus the 3 at the bar. Let's say 20. Let's say 20
capacity is small, but they have 16 beers on tap.
It's ridiculous how many choices they have here. Yeah.
And I guess another thing, I don't want to just keep mentioning like negatives, but there isn't so much food. So basically, it's a place, as the brewer said. He says it's like a tasting room. It's a place to come and try all these beers. I mean, you could get the flights, you could get 4 paddles, as they call them, and you could try all the beers for less than
if you wanted to try every single beer, it'd be 48,000 won.
For less than 50,000 won, you could try all 16 beers. So I think it's more of a place to try beers.
Try that one.
For me, it would be change one variable before you change them all.
Okay.
So if you have a beer that's definitely got something wrong with it, or it didn't pan out the flavor you wanted it to, don't then go and brew a beer completely different. Just change one little aspect, and over time that beer will grow to be better. So for example, Jacinda, when we did the first probably 5 batches, it was pretty, it was, people really liked it, but it wasn't where I thought it would be. And so over a period of about a year, we changed one variable at a time to get it exactly where we could replicate it and do it perfectly, rather than scratching our heads and changing 10 different things. So yeah, change one variable at a time.
Yeah, like I'm very impressed. This place, I didn't really get into this with Nick. He loves his fruit infusions and he loves his sours too. It would be impossible for me without drinking all day to get into what this guy's doing here. He has tropical sours with like pineapple infusions. He's got berry infusions in another one. Without making like a half-an-hour video on this brewery, it'd be impossible to get into exactly what he's doing here. But if you see his cans in Seoul in a bottle shop, grab one. If you see it on draft in Seoul somewhere or anywhere in Korea, grab one. If you can make it to Seosan, which again is a bit out of the way, come down, make a day of it. His beers are really good. I'm very impressed. Yeah.
I mean, the bus ride here from Seoul was, for me, only 8,000 won.
It was 10,000 for me from Anyang. Yeah.
So
It's leave the city once in a while. You can find cool stuff out here. I'm talking to beer fans on my channel, clearly. You're not just some random guy. Come down here to Seosan, see this for yourself. If you want to make an overnight trip of this and just taste every fucking beer here with your friends, it's well worth the voyage.
You can bring a tent and just camp in the forest for free.
There you go. You can save a little bit. Put that money back into the beer.
Wear this shirt and nobody will know you're there. The
glasses might give it away though.
The other nice thing about the brewery is that they sell a lot of, they have their cans, as Kevin made the nice B-roll, so they have their cans available in the refrigerator, which some breweries and some brew pubs don't really have, and they don't sell separately for takeout. So that's another good thing, that you can take them home. And they also have a 20% discount if you buy 4 cans.
Is that
Plus,
true?
That's true. I read, there is a sticker on the glass of the refrigerator. 20% discount for takeout.
Learn about one area first and then move on to other areas. So for example, malts, water, hops, yeast, they're all different categories. Focus on certain ones first before, so for example, we focused on water and malts before we focused on yeast and hops. Okay. Now we focus on probably hops and yeast. And so that's where we're making mistakes at the moment with hops and yeast. So.
What mistakes? Well, Nick, it was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for your answers.
Thank you.
And I'm going to drink your beer now.
Cheers.
Pale ale, and they do have a lager.
Yeah, but most of the beers, as far as selection goes, are very bizarre, weird things. That's all.
But not compared to Potato Island.
They only had 4 beers, and you didn't even come.
But those are super bizarre. These, like... What's that nice song?
None of this is
that nice 90s song. Bizarre, bizarre.
How bizarre, how bizarre.
How bizarre, how bizarre. I like that song. Who sings that?
Hey, baby. Oh, baby. You're making me crazy.